My Singing Monsters is a game that's something that I am very fond of. It has inspired me to create music in a way that I have never even thought of, and to this day it is the most public and successful thing I have ever been a part of. But recently I've been wondering something. How well does each song really stand on their own? That's when I had the idea to review the aspects of every island to see how good they actually sound. I had decided to start this little series off with Plant Island, the first island in the game. I got in a call late at night with 3 of my friends, and we talked about every monster, seeing if they're really as good as people say. Plant Island, being the first island in the game, is very endearing and pleasant to listen to in general, but that doesn't mean it's perfect. The more I looked into, the more I noticed that the song isn't as good as people usually give it credit for. While it is still a strong song and definitely an amazing way to start the game, it suffers from a lot of shortcomings that render it hurting as you unlock more. The way I'm going to do this is by going over the top 3 and bottom 3 monsters, going over their placing and the overall impact on the song, and afterwards I'm going to place the song as a whole into a tier list that'll get bigger as I do more of these videos. Also, side note, but alternative costumes and globes will not be taken into account for overall rankings. This is purely based on how the monsters impact the song. This is my singing monsters, not my cosmetic monsters. So, in terms of the worst monsters, there's very little work that needs to be done to find them. Mostly every addition that was added after Plant Island's original incarnation were negative ones. Not saying there weren't positive additions as you'll see later, just that the song got weaker later down the line because of some unwise choices. The third weakest is Rare Warbox. I know a lot of people like this version of Warbox, but I can't really rate it any higher. The only additions it adds to the song is a single verse that overshadows others, and all it does is sing offbeat to a chord of the castle bass. The only reason it's not any lower is because, like I said earlier, it's a very short sound and the overall impact of the full song is little. But overall, that's what makes it this low to begin with. It doesn't really do anything. The second worst monster is actually 2 monsters, since they're interchangeable for the most part, the Weirdos. Personally speaking, I despise these things. If I had to rank one higher than the other, it'd probably be Togger, but honestly, they're both pretty darn terrible. To clarify, performance-wise, they're actually not that bad, but the impact they have on the song and game as a whole is what makes them so darn not. In the old days, it was simple. You gathered monsters that, when put together, start to make an orchestra of sound where they all play off each other and impact the song in their own way. Now let's fast forward a couple years and the Weirdos are released. Now the song is Weirdos and any other monster exists solely to make sure the song sounds more full for the Weirdos. That's not satisfying at all, and Plant Island is one of the worst offenders of that. The worst monster is a simple one. You can make an argument for every monster being the best or the worst, and in terms of best monster on the island, there is no really true right answer. There's only a wrong answer. Dipsters are the worst addition to the game in terms of impact on the song. Take all the worst parts about the Weirdos and then put that on top of sounding terrible on every island they're on. Trust me, this will not be the last time you hear me talk about these things. Dishonorable mentions go to the following monsters. Pummel, for not really impacting the song, kept from the bottom because it doesn't really do anything bad, it's just kinda boring. Willbox for being loud, this time kept from the bottom because it's probably the best Willbox in the game, all things considered. And lastly, this one is more personal, but Punkleton, kept off the list because while I don't like it that much, I can comply to the fact that that's an uncommon opinion. Negativity is fun and all, and trust me, I love ripping apart poor design, but let's get to the bests now. These monsters encapsulate in what I see as the best parts of MSM, and beyond that, these monsters are just really well composed. Any of these monsters could be an argument for the best on the island, so I tried looking at the group consensus beyond my own thoughts to better identify it. The third best is Ghast. Now, I adore this monster in every ethereal, but there are some issues with it. It plays in a weird pattern that doesn't really work well when paired with everything else, and it's just a tad bit too quiet. Now for the good things, which is everything else. This monster had the most complex and well-arranged sound at the time of its release, and even compared to today, the sound still has so many layers of effort that really pay off. The atmosphere it adds to the verses it play are some of the best you can get. It gets third for having a really well-made track that has only been beaten a couple times since its release. The second best is Sugar Bush. When Christian Bush wanted to make a song in MSM, he insisted on using his real instruments, and it really pays off. The quality and complexity are both evenly well done, and to top it all off, his voice is really refined and pleasant to the ear. It's no mistake that they put Sugar Bush in both of the most important verses of the song, since they also knew just how good this man was. His addition to the song has also aged really well. While other monsters really fell out of the spotlight because of later additions, Sugar Bush has remained top seat. Okay, you all saw it coming. The best is Bogart. Of course it's Bogart. It's flipping Bogart. How can it not be? When I think of Plant Island, I literally think of Bogart. That's how good it is. It captures the best things MSM does, being the whimsy of monsters and the unique style of music. Other monsters do this too, as we'll see later down the line, and when a monster is able to capture both of these, it instantly raises them to the greatest. Bogart also sounds amazing, being one of the most impactful and necessary sounds for the entirety of Plant Island. And it does this all without taking anything away from another monster, making it one of the best written instrumentations on Plant Island. Honorable mentions include the following monsters. Every other of the original 15, even the least additive monster, is still important in the Plant Island song, and all 15 of the original 15 are some of the most solid designs and sound in all of MSM. Gajoob for being really well made, but unfortunately got completely gimped by dipsters who are just infinitely louder and play exactly with the same thing yet somehow worse. So that's Plant Island. I'd say it has tons of potential, but the late additions drag it down too hard. I really hope they don't add anything to this song ever again, because it's suffered overfilling long enough. In its current state, the song has some really bad qualities, but it's definitely not the worst. Hopefully they let it rest in peace, because it simply can't take another more half-baked idea and whatever the dipsters were. This was a fun idea, and something I've wanted to do for a long time. The game is really fun, and I don't think people notice all the small quirks and ideas that go into the game. If you want to see more videos like this, it's very simple. Just write a comment saying so, and also say what island you want me to do next. I'll include that comment in the next video where I do the island that got the most requests. If all goes well to plan, this will not be the last time I do one of these. Also, if you want to see the full podcast that uses reference points throughout the video, I've uploaded it in its entirety. However, though, be warned, there's foul language, so if you don't like that, maybe skip over it. Well, that's all there is on the matter, so I'll see you all in the next video. This is late at night. I forgot to do this in the actual video, but if I were to rank Plant Island on a tier list, I'd probably put it in C. Okay, thanks, bye.